어떤 사람의 록이야기, 록 밴드와 섹스 스캔들에 대해서 객관적인 자료만을 가지고 말씀드리고 있습니다. 록커들의 성생활에 대해서 이야기를 하자면 레드제플린 뿐만이 아니라 수많은 밴드 이름들이 나오는데 그 중에서 모두가 잘 아는 우리가 관심 있는 밴드들만을 대상으로 추가 말씀드리겠습니다. 60년대 말 LA를 중심으로 록 밴드를 따라다니는 10대 소녀들이 있었습니다. 그들을 그룹이라고 얘기하죠. 이 소녀들 중에서 나이가 진짜로 어린 중학생 정도의 소녀들이 따로 있었는데 이들은 베이비 그룹이라고 부릅니다. 이 사진은 락니라는 클럽에서 레드제플린의 로버트 플랜트와 존 버넴이 여러 그룹들과 함께 찍었던 역사적인 사진이죠. 자세히 보시기 바랍니다. 로버트 플랜트 왼쪽에 바싹 붙어있는 사람이 세이블 스타, 그 옆으로 몰가나 웰치, 그 옆이 몰가나 웰치의 친구 타일러입니다. 이들 모두 당시에 유명한 그룹들이었었지만 오른쪽으로는 존 버넴이 앉아있고 오른쪽 끝에 로리 매틱스가 앉아있군요. 이 사진에서 지미 페이지는 보이지 않습니다. 이 사진에서 레드제플린의 매니저 피럴 그랜트가 있죠. 그가 수많은 그룹들에 둘러싸여 있는데 알아볼 수 있는 사람이 세이블 스타, 로리 매틱스 정도입니다. 누구인지 확실하지 않은 것은 이야기하지 않는 게 좋죠. 프랭크 사파는 GTO라는 걸그룹을 구성해서 여기에 7명의 그룹이가 가입했었습니다. 이들 7명 멤버 이름에는 미스 누구누구 이렇게 붙였죠. 따라서 제가 미스 누구누구라고 불리는 사람들은 모두 GTO 멤버들입니다. 그 걸그룹은 앨범 하나를 냈었는데 그때 기타리스트들 중 제프 백이 있었습니다. 라스 숄트가 노래를 한 곡 하기도 했죠. 프랭크 세파가 후원했던 걸그룹이었고 이것을 역시 프랭크 세파가 프로듀싱 했습니다. GTO에서 대표적인 사람이 파멜라 데바르인데 그동안 많이들 죽고 최근에 한 명 더 죽어서 이젠 파멜라 데바르가 GTO 그룹의 유일한 생존자라고 생각됩니다. 젊은 시절에들 많이 죽었는데 죽은 이유는 대개 약물 사고, 에이드로 죽은 사람도 있고 암으로도 죽었습니다. 사인이 알려지지 않는 사람들도 있고요. LA를 중심으로 한 걸그룹 GTO, 그 중에 있던 미스 멀시와 또 다른 여성, 누군지는 확실하지 않습니다. 이 사람들이 레드제플린에 대해서 이야기하는 것도 들어보세요. 레드제플린에 대한 소문이 한때 어떤 식으로 돌았는지를 둘이 말하고 있습니다.
Cynthia asked me, if at that time if I'd like to be a plaster caster, and I didn't know, I thought maybe, but then I don't know. Some people don't dig the idea. I think it's funny though. I think it's really campy. Cynthia's dead serious about it.
여기에 등장하는 신시아 플래스터 캐스터, 이 사람은 이름이 따로 있지만 그런 이름으로 불리우는 그룹입니다. 그녀는 그룹이 출신으로 남성의 성기와 여성의 가슴을 섞어로 뜬 작품을 많이 했던 것으로 유명합니다. 키스의 노래 플래스터 캐스터가 바로 이 신시아를 노래한 것이죠. 그녀에 대한 이야기는 앞으로도 한두 번 더 나오는데 여기서는 자세히 말씀드리지 않습니다.
Some people didn't like us, like Led Zeppelin didn't like us at all. Richard Cole, he took this leather strap and he started beating me, and I didn't even know him. They threw Cynthia in the swimming pool and ruined all her velvet clothes. They were really weird.
Hostile.
Really? I know they invited us to a party.
Freaks?
Who was this fellow?
Led Zeppelin. They invited us to a party really innocently. I'm a fool,
They loved him.
I know.
They
She
beat
likes
Dave.
it. No, they beat her too, and she loved it though. I didn't. I went home.
I stayed with Led Zeppelin for 2 weeks in LA.
So what was Led Zeppelin like?
I spent a lot of money. We ate food like this one out of style and did cocaine. Me and Richard Cole and Jimmy Page and Miss Cinderella were having a scene, and I was giving Richard had pull off my dress, had the most gorgeous dress. Richard would pull off my dress, and Jimmy Page has a whip, and Lord Sutch was playing. Well, I started up on a chair, and every once in a while, Jimmy would just reach over and whack me across the ass with his whip. Oh, it was a gas. They were just great people.
지미 페이지와 파멜라 데바에 관해서 이야기하기 전에 록이야기 60회를 잠깐 복습해 보겠습니다. 크림에 실린 지미 페이지의 기사 중에서 이 사진을 잘 기억해 주십시오. 이것은 지미 페이지가 파멜라 데바이라는 사람과 함께 찍은 사진인데, 이 사진의 소개에서 파멜라가 GTO라는 여성 밴드 멤버라는 것만 소개되어 있지만, 이 사진을 찍었을 때는 GTO라는 밴드가 없어진 지 이미 오래되는 때였습니다. 사실은 지미와 파멜라는 그것보다는 더 가까운 사이였습니다. 로버트 플랜트는 세이블 스타라는 사람과 미셸 오버맨이라는 사람, 이 둘과 친한 것으로 알려져 있죠. 지미 페이지와 로버트 플랜트 모두 알려진 애인들 말고 그냥 하룻밤만 지냈던 사람들이 수없이 있지만, 알려진 사람 중에는 이런 사람들이 있다 이겁니다. 그럼 파멜라 데바에 관해서 먼저 이야기를 시작하겠습니다. 지미 페이지 애인 중에서는 그녀가 로리 매틱스보다 선배이니까요.
I like English men. I don't know why, I just do. They've got a lot more charm.
이 사진은 파멜라 데바가 로버트 플랜트와 함께 찍은 사진으로군요. 그룹이 시절에서 은퇴하고 한참 후의 사진 같으네요. 이 사진은 파멜라 데바가 밥 딜런과 함께 찍은 사진입니다. 밥 딜런이 무대 위에서 노래할 때 파멜라가 밥 딜런을 무대 앞에서 빤히 쳐다보면서 밥 딜런을 꼬셨다고 합니다. 음유 시인이면서 노벨 문학상 수상자인 밥 딜런도 부처님은 아닌 것 같으네요. 파멜라 데바의 비교적 최근 인터뷰입니다.
Hello, I'm Pamela Debar, and I'm considered to be the world's most famous groupie, which is just because I wrote a book about it. There were plenty of groupies back then, but I made sure I was in the right place at the right time, in the right era, and the right everything. I was in LA in the 60s, and I really made the most of it. Old Rolling Stone, groupie issue. Baron Woolman, the photographer, the great photographer, their first photographer, he suggested the groupie issue. It's now so collectible. But we were the centerfold, and so we were walking through here in all of our fancy regalia. We were so dolled up, and one of the girls, Miss Christine, who we called Pumpkin Butt, ran into George Harrison. Literally, physically ran into him. And he turned around and said, "Wow, who are you girls?" And we said, "We're the GTOs." We were so excited to meet George. And he said, "Oh, I've heard of you girls." And that just made it. We had quite a good day that day. So that was my very first Beatle encounter. The GTOs used to live here with Alic Cooper. I mean, Alic Cooper lived on one side, we lived on the other. And this room here is where Janis Joplin died. Whoa. It's a very notorious spot. Jimi Hendrix hung out there with Janis, actually. And Miss Christine in the GTOs was Alic Cooper's girlfriend. They fell in love.
여기에서 특이한 점은 이미 앨리스 쿠퍼에게는 무명 시절에서부터 사귀던 애인 신디 랭이라는 사람이 있었는데, 앨리스 쿠퍼가 LA에 갔을 때 GTO 출신 미스 크리스틴이 나타난 겁니다. 미스 크리스틴이 앨리스 쿠퍼와 열렬한 사랑을 했지만 그녀는 22살에 약물 과용으로 사망하고 말았습니다. 앨리스 쿠퍼는 다시 신디 랭과의 관계를 지속했죠. 자세한 것은 앨리스 쿠퍼 특집에서 다루기로 하겠습니다.
She's the one who, well, all of us helped decorate those boys. We put them in girls' clothes and put makeup on them and stuff. There's a really great documentary called Super Duper Alic Cooper, where he gives us the credit for that. I had a crush on the drummer.
사진에서 보는 바로 이 사람이죠. 앨리스 쿠퍼의 오리지널 밴드 멤버 니얼 스미스입니다. 가운데 제가 어린애처럼 천진난만한 모습으로 서 있고, 또 그 옆에는 그 밴드의 오리지널 기타리스트 마이클 브루스로군요. 1917년 사진입니다.
This was where I lived basically every night, no matter who was playing. You could see Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix Experience, The Who, all in this tiny little club. First time I saw Zeppelin was here. I had heard from my dear friend Cynthia Plastercaster to stay away from them, that they had a bad reputation already, even when the first album was about to come out. And so I decided I wasn't going to I was going to stay away from them. That didn't work because Jimmy Page came after me. He sent a postcard to one of the BTOs, the Boys Together Outrageously, counterpart of the GTOs, and said, Jimmy wants Miss Pamela and all that. And I was like, oh God, I just can't. But of course, he wore me down because he got me to a gig.
이 인터뷰에서 파멜라 데바는 자기가 지미 페이지를 처음 만났을 때 그리고 헤어지면서 가슴 아팠던 일들을 솔직히 이야기하고 있습니다.
How did it feel in that era, walking down the Sunset Strip?
Being a girl, you know, and I was a proud girl. I took my birth control pill out of my purse and took it in front of people on the Sunset Strip,
Wow.
which is feminism.
Progressive.
You know, so I remember sewing button on Jimmy's shirt, Jimmy Page's shirt. I was a teenager, and then early 20s when I was dating rock stars. And, you know, they took me around the country. So I became what you call a super groupie. But by that time, it was a negative word already.
What are they saying?
I don't know.
I mean, because you just
Jealous
owned-
people.
Yeah.
Uptight people.
Right.
Never had an orgasm. Because I'm not doing anything wrong. Sleeping with rock stars. I can do whatever I want.
The first big rock star that you slept with.
Well, I wanted to be in love. So I thought I was in love with this guy, Nick St. Nicholas. And he was in Steppenwolf, bass player. I guess the first big rock star was Jimmy Page.
Oh yeah.
And
fan.
you know, I believed, because I was so young, that maybe this could work out, you know, and I could stay with Jimmy Page. He certainly pretended that we might, you know, even the band was saying, well, I've never seen Jimmy like this, you know. So you start to imagine what could happen. But then I met Mick, you know.
Mick Jagger,
And-
Rolling Stones.
And when he convinced me Jimmy Page was not being true to me on the road like I hoped he would.
This is important to note. What can we say to young girls who are feeling rejected, that you're getting cheated on for the first time? Because I remember what that felt like.
It was so heartbreaking.
How
I
did
just
you
stood
get
in the
through that?
airport and sobbed because he said, when he was leaving town, he said, you know, I'm such a bastard, you know. And I went, oh, I had Mick Jagger in the wings.
Oh, jeez.
No, it still hurt. It always hurts.
Yeah.
또 다른 인터뷰인데 여기에서 앨리스 쿠퍼의 성공 뒤에는 GTO가 있었고 파멜라 디바리, 지미 페이지, 로버트 플랜트와 함께 어울렸던 얘기를 하는군요.
Okay, so when did you like venture out into the world of rock and roll?
Right then.
Right then? When you were 16?
Yeah, when I was 16, I started going on to the strip. And so anyway, yeah, I just met everyone. I was, like I said, the right age, the right everything to just become part of that scene. I started meeting all kinds of like-minded trippy hippie girls, started going to the love-ins. And I mean, so much happened. I met a guy at the love-in. I live life out loud.
Yeah, living the dream, right?
And Frank Zappa, one of them was working for Frank Zappa. Miss Christine was the Moon Unit's governess. And she invited us up to meet Frank. And he took such a shine to us, he thought we should become our own group. And we also opened for Alic Cooper's band and the Mothers at the Whiskey A Go Go.
Right. Well, actually, wasn't it Miss Christine was going out with then Vincent Fernier, who became Alic Cooper,
Yes.
and how was the one that kind of put together his makeup and his
Yes.
clothing and stuff like that.
Well,
And then you girls are the ones that introduced him to Frank Zappa and made that appointment for him to come, for the band to come.
Yeah, and audition, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Christine did that. She was seeing Alice, and I was hanging out with Neal, the drummer. You know, we all.
Good old Neal, yeah.
Oh yeah, we love Neal. My God.
Oh, yeah.
I sat on his lap a lot.
Oh, yeah. Neal's one of my buddies. It's Dennis Dunaway. I, have kept in contact with the most. Dennis has been in my magazine many times, many interviews.
Yeah, Dennis is my pal still, and so is Neal and Alice.
So now, what about Jimmy Page and Robert Plant?
What about?
Any association with them?
Well, you know that. You know,
Well, I want to hear you tell me.
Yes, I met that band early on, first album. I went to when I was visiting Cynthia in '69. Well, it was turning 1969. She had a picture of them on a poster of them on her wall, and I said, "Who are those guys?" And she said, "That is Led Zeppelin, band, but stay away from them because they're dangerous." She said, "Jimmy Page, especially the guitarist, has a bad reputation." So I swore that when they came to town, I was not going to go near them, right? One night at that same wild club, The Experience, I went to see Bo Diddley, and all of Led Zeppelin were there. And Jimmy kept, staring holes at me from across the room, and I was ignoring him. I was not going to go for it. And he passed me a note through his roadie, Richard Cole, who I'm still friends with to this day. And it said, "Meet me in room whatever, 6, whatever." They always had this entire 6th floor. But I didn't do it. And he somehow got a hold of my phone number the next day and said, "Why didn't you come?" He was so elegant. He was so mysterious and amazingly, oh my God. So anyway, he invited me to his gig in Long Beach. Was it Long Beach or San Diego, I guess? And I went down there with my friend Michelle Overman, who was dating Robert Plant and had been seeing him for a while. So we were on stage with the band, and Jimmy kept looking over at me and playing for me and everything. And that's all it took.
That was it.
So I became one of his, his main girlfriend for a little while there, a year or something. And, he sent me Christmas gifts and took me on the road to New York, to Texas, to various places, which turned me into a super groupie at that point, because I was written about all over the place because I was with Jimmy Page and he flew me places. So that was my super groupie, standing at that point. And it was quite a thing. I mean, to be with that band during that time frame and, see him entrance 20,000 people from sitting atop Jimmy's amp was almost indescribable. It was like being in the band as much as you possibly could because you had that vantage point. It was incredible, really.
이야기가 너무 길어지니까 말이죠. 오늘은 여기까지만 하고 다음 이야기를 계속해야 될지 아닐지는 여러분의 호응도에 따라서 결정하겠습니다. 구독, 좋아요, 댓글 등등이 숫자를 보고 결정하겠습니다. 다른 사람들의 섹스 스캔들, 카더라 방송을 오늘 끝내려고 했었지만 이 얘기가 너무 많아서 끝내지 못합니다. 레드 제플린 멤버들이 연문을 너무 많이 뿌려서 그렇죠. 그럼 안녕히 계십시오, 여러분.